So a full week to prepare for this one with no midweek game. How useful has that been for you, after last week particularly?
Yeah, it's to be fair, it's strange because normally the boys that play on a Saturday are doing a recovery day on a Monday, so to have 4 proper training days has been really, really good. So yeah, we've got everything out of it physically we wanted. So hopefully, because once Christmas comes, you've got less time to do the physical side. So hopefully we can go into Christmas in a good place physically.
So you've got what you wanted out of this week. How much did you get out of last week's match?
Well, could have had Manchester United at home, so not enough, quite clearly. But I think when we, when we looked at what we had available with the cup tie and the injuries, we sort of said, look, we've got to make a cup tie of it. We need to be in the game. We need to make sure we're going into that sort of last third of the game in with a chance of winning it still. But we knew to do all of that, not only did the boys need to execute the game plan, they needed to not make a mistake at one end and take the chances at the other. And unfortunately, we just fell shy of them 2 areas. But we made a cup tie of it, and I suppose if we take some confidence from that, then it's a good thing.
Well, we think you did from what you saw with the fog, anyway. From the players that played, you've explained the situation because of injuries and loan players that couldn't play and being cup tied. Was there anybody that you played last week that maybe played themselves back into your thoughts in a longer term?
Not really. I don't think it was like that. I don't think I was I picked the team that I thought could execute the game plan last week. And we needed midfield that were industrious, that were going to do the hard yards. We sacrificed a little bit of the flair for that. But then there's going to be another game, whether it's Saturday's game or the following Saturday's game, where we'll need different qualities. So I think this game coming up on Saturday, there's going to be a few that will get an opportunity that maybe haven't had the minutes, both coming back from injury and building up their minutes, and players that need to sort of say, I'm up to speed and I can do what you want me to.
What have you got available? Who have you got available for this week? Loan players, are they eligible to start with?
Yeah, loan players are eligible. I think the only person cup tied is George Sykes-Kenworthy is cup tied. I don't think Will Davis is. I'm pretty sure. I'll check on that today, but pretty sure Will isn't cup tied. And yeah, other than the injuries, players coming back from injuries, Levy's back. Got a little bit tight last week where he's coming back from it, so he'll probably won't be quite ready. But Michael Duckworth's back. He's got an opportunity to get minutes, as have some of the others that haven't had as much time recently.
And how big a boost is that for you, getting Michael Duckworth back?
Yeah, to be fair, getting Michael Duckworth back, getting minutes into even Callum Harriet's been back training now, minutes into Callum Harriet, minutes into Castro, people like that. We to be able to put them into a larger squad and try and get some minutes into them. Going into Christmas, we might need all the bodies. So
where does the FA Trophy sit for you?
Now we're out the FA Cup. There's only 2 competitions, and it's obviously the league is absolutely our priority. My only issue with the FA Trophy is the further you go in the competition, the more games you have cancelled, because it starts to take precedent, and that bothers me, because then you start to have midweek games and you end up at a disadvantage for doing well in the cup. Whereas with the FA Cup, the financial rewards are that great and the excitement of it's that great. That's my problem with this competition. But with Notts, I got to 2 semi-finals, and I got to a quarter-final with Solihull. So at the end of the day, you can't ever go into a game of football not trying to or wanting to win it.
And it is that kind of competition, isn't it? The more it progresses, the more excitement seems to come with it, as York City know well with a couple of final appearances and wins as well.
Yeah, I think it's like the FA Cup, where you get through the 4th round qualifying. Once you get to round 2, all of a sudden it bubbles up with excitement. I think here, you sort of try and get through the early rounds, and then all of a sudden you realise you're maybe 2 or 3 games away from Wembley, and the excitement starts to come. So this is all about going into Christmas in a good place. It's a chance for me to have a look at 1 or 2 that have been knocking on my door and want minutes, and whatever happens, we'll be trying to win the game.
Nantwich, I've heard about the pitch. Apparently their manager isn't that keen on their pitch either. Are you having to take this into account with your selection at all? Not
really. I think they've got new 3G, so I'm surprised that the manager's not happy with it. No, to be fair, the weather's been that bad in York. We've probably only trained once or twice in the last month on grass. We've been on 3G most of the time, so I think the lads' bodies have adapted to it. So no, there's no real issues with me picking a team that can't handle a 3G.
So there's nobody, we've heard in the past certain players have to be careful with knees, maybe an older player, you've not got any of those worries?
No, I think you do get some players that struggle on it or get stiff on it, and if there was ever a player that was a risk, we would take that into consideration, but obviously there's one or two in our league that use them, so, and we've been training them on it because anyone who can't train on a 3G is barely going to train for us at the moment.
As for your opponents, Nantwich, have you been able to see much of them?
We've done a little bit of, we've done whatever homework we can, got whatever footage we can. The hard thing is because they don't have set squad numbers, like us, when it comes to set pieces, and if they've changed their numbers over, someone who wore number 5 last week's number 3 this week, you've just got to try and make sure that we're up to speed with that when it comes to set plays. But no, we've done our homework as we always do, and we'll make sure the boys are ready for everything.
So just to recap about your side then, can you foresee many changes with everything you've said?
Yeah, there will be. I'm not going to lie, I think there'll be some changes. Haven't named the team yet, we'll do that tomorrow, but I've used the week, as I always do, I even did it for the FA Cup last week, had a look at various players in various positions in training. That's the part the lads need to understand. Every day at training is an opportunity to push themselves forward. One or two last week didn't train as well as others and didn't start because of it.
Any play movement at all in the near future? I know we just tend to ask this every week, but is there anything in the pipeline?
There's loads in the pipeline, but the issue you have now, being sort of 2.5, 3 weeks away from Christmas, is it's very difficult to get players to move, especially if they're not local. All of a sudden they're looking at our fixture list saying Gateshead away and they're down south, and it's very, very difficult, and the quality of what's available isn't really there. So I think, although we've tried in 1 or 2 positions just to get us through Christmas to see whether we can add. At the moment, unless something crops up that we're not expecting, I think January is going to be the big month for us when it comes to really trying to push forward and add some quality.
And on the flip side, with that, players going out as well?
Yeah, I think at the moment, with what we've got, is going to kind of be what we have for the Christmas period, but it's always the way. Sometimes you need 1 or 2 to come in, and then 1 or 2 players might go, okay, I need to get out and play some games. So at the moment, it's hard because I think we've done quite well with the 2 we have signed permanently, with George and with Will. I think they've been 2 players you look at and you go, well, they're going to be really good in the future, in years to come. And we need to make sure that anyone else that is permanent at the club, everyone's saying the same things about them.
Lovely, thank you very much. Do you need me to move?
I think we'll be okay. FA Trophy, second week of cup action. Have you any additional options player-wise this week than what you had last week?
I think yes, because there's players that wouldn't have really been up to playing last week as far as in their recovery from injuries and stuff, and we always earmarked the FA Trophy for 1 or 2 players that have come back from injury to start getting their minutes. We've earmarked it for players who are on the fringe, who are knocking on the door, to get their minutes and start to show us, and I hope they do, cause me a problem by playing really, really well and showing me that they can do things. So there's a lot more availability in my own head as far as this game and what I've earmarked it for.
Any additional injury worries after last Friday?
Not massively. I mean, we've got some niggles here or there, but more so we've got players coming back that are ready for the minutes now. We've built them up towards this. Was been the target for a number of weeks for a few players. So we feel like we're getting there with them. But no, there's no one massively that we've lost, if that makes sense.
Depot Akinyemi is still out injured. Is there an update on his progress?
Depot's been out doing work on the training field. He's now been handed over from the physio to the sports scientist, so they're just upping his load. So you have to go through a number of tick boxes, and obviously the final one before he gets back into training is the ability to sprint at his maximum speed. So at the moment I think he's just on a steady increase and more volume in his work rather than straight line work, rather than building up towards the explosive stuff where you really need to test them.
So do you anticipate him back before Christmas?
I don't know is the answer. I don't want to say to you yes and then be disappointed. You know, we got told it could be 3 to 4 weeks from when he did it. We're 2 weeks in now. So in real terms, another week, and he might be available to sort of come back into training, but then you've got to make sure, as always with anything, you don't want to rush things and make sure you end up going backwards and injuring them as soon as they get back out on the field, because when he does go on the pitch, he needs to be explosive, he needs to be able to sprint, he needs to be dynamic, and we have to make sure we've stressed all of that in a controlled environment first.
Players that are out on loan at the moment, are you keeping a close eye on those, and when would those be? When would, say, Finlay Barnes be available? Yeah,
most of them, you know, we could call back in January if we wanted. So absolutely, we're keeping a close eye on all of them, and we need to make sure any players that we call back are being called back for a reason, because we're starting to feel like they could play a part. You know, we've obviously got Cedric's out on loan, we've got Finley's out on loan, Sam Sanders is out on loan, so we've got a few kind of fringe first team boys there that we're keeping a close eye on with regards to January and who we might bring in and what we might do with the squad.
And are they available to come back after Christmas?
Yeah, so January will be the time. They'll be, they might have different dates. Some might have the 3rd of January, the 5th of January, the 6th, so there'll be different dates when their loan ends. And what we got to make sure is if we're bringing them back, we're not bringing them back and they're sitting on the sidelines not doing anything. So we need to make sure that we have a plan in place, but we certainly want to have a look at them all in our environment, ready to be considered for our team.
Looking back on Friday, what was the reaction of the players when they saw who you could have played?
To be fair, I don't know about them, but my reaction was, oh no, when I saw it. It's one of them what could have been. Listen, I'm sure they'll be disappointed, and there's that thing goes round in their head, but if I'm honest, I was very proud of the performance. We worked for 3 days on a game plan that I thought they executed really, really well. And on another day, with not one mistake at one end and goals at the other, the chances being taken, it could have been a different story. So I think they can be proud of. For me, I'm most proud of. We set a game plan, they executed it, and I think that's a nice thing for a manager to be able to say, look, the team can take on that information and they can set about things and do it, and hopefully we can take that forward.
And we talked before that game about training to play a higher league. You're now the big boys yourselves. How do you avoid that banana skin?
You've got to do your homework on the opposition. You've got to make sure you look at their strengths and weaknesses. I respect everybody. Winning games football is hard no matter what level. So just like the Wigan manager said to me after the game, you know, your boys were excellent, real tough challenge that. And we're going to expect nothing left from Nantwich. They're at home, their pitch. And you know, they beat Chester in the last round, and we know how good Chester are because we had to have a replay and the skin of our teeth to get through that round. So it's going to be tough, but you know, hopefully there's going to be some fresh boys, some eager boys out there to go and show, and we've got to make sure we know what our performance levels need to be and how we're trying to play and how we're trying to hurt them, but also aware of their threats.
Talking of the pitch, there was a recent big survey in the Lancet, the medical journal, saying that there was a 14% less incident of injuries for people playing on artificial pitches than grass, which was a real surprise. How different is it playing on artificial pitch, and how do you approach it?
Yeah, they're all different quality artificial pitches. You know, we've trained on 2 or 3 different ones over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and the ball roll's different on some are. You know, if you go to Dawkins pitch, it's black rubber crumb, and you'll see the ball bounce when you're on the camera, and you just see black going up in the air every time it bounces. You see some pitches that don't have that, and it's, you know, the shock absorbers underneath. You know, they've spent a bit more money on them. They're a bit thicker. Some run like grass. Some run a lot faster than grass. There's so many varying different types. Personally, I'm not a fan. I mean, they're good for training. But I'm not a fan of them for playing. I don't think the ball, everything's quite the same on artificial. But I'm surprised to hear that, because I know, you know, speaking to Mark White at Dorking, that they've had a lot of injury problems, and a lot of them they feel was down to the 3G compared to being able to train and play on grass. Talking
of technology, and obviously it's not in this league, but VAR, what's your thoughts on that? Especially if we look back at something like Woodyard. If he hadn't been sent off because it was rescinded, you may have won that game. Just generally, What's at fault?
It's a tough one. Football's so much. I like watching the rugby. Watch the Rugby World Cup. The way that rugby do it is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The respect for the referee, the way that they carry himself, and the way that they work together to get the decisions right. But then it's a totally different sport, played at a different speed with different interpretations, and I don't think we've got it anywhere near right. In fact, I actually think it's gone backwards. VAR this season, watching the Premier League games, it's really difficult because the rules are being made and the referees are trying to, go with the way the rules have been set out. But, there's got to be interpretation sometimes, and you've got to have not played the game, but you've got to understand the speed of the game and the way it's doing to be able to look at, for argument's sake, Alex Woodyard, or look at a penalty incident and make a decision on whether you think they are. The big one that I get frustrated about most of all is handballs. People get given blatant penalties for something that really didn't change the course of where that ball was going or what was likely to happen, and it's such a freak thing, and all of a sudden it changes a game. And actually, as a manager, you might look and go, my team's executed my game plan brilliantly, but somebody's kicked a ball against his arm and he couldn't get out of the way, and the penalties cost us the game or changed the whole momentum of the game. It's not fair compared to somebody being clear through on goal and getting brought down. That's a different scenario.
And back to Saturday, you've indicated there's going to be squad rotation. You're obviously confident that the squad is big enough and actually they're in depth to be able to win the game regardless of who you put out.
It's not a case of being confident. I don't think I would sit here with total belief and confidence even if I put the same team out that played last week or something like that. I just think the players that haven't had as much game time lately or have come back from injury, they need the opportunity to say, over Christmas, I'm ready, Gaff, and look at what I can do. And I want to give them that opportunity, because a few have knocked on my door, a few are desperate to play, a few have been moping about, and it's like, okay, come on in, show me. And if we come away and we've been brilliant and we put in a great performance, then it's great. It's a win for me, because I'm like, okay, I've got real selection problems now, and there's a lot I can use over Christmas. And on vice versa, if they don't, it reaffirms something that you might say to them, well, you're knocking on my door, but you're not performing. So, it's good for a manager to be able to do that. And whether I'm confident or not to win the game, I'm confident that these players should be chomping at the bit.
And finally, obviously, hopefully a good away following as well again.
They always are. The atmosphere here on Friday was incredible, from what I could have seen across the fog. But it was the atmosphere was electric, and every time they travel away, they're brilliant. It looks like they have a really good day out, and we have given them a few more things to shout about in the grit and determination in some of our away performances. So hopefully they'll have that again on Saturday afternoon.
Thanks very much.
Hi Neil, just reflecting on the Wigan game then. How has it been to have a full week of training ahead of this FA Trophy tie?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Like, normally Monday's a part recovery day, so even to be able to hit good distances on Monday, we sit down every morning in our staff meeting, the sports science team. We'll look at the week and say, this is what we want to cover over the week. These are the days where we're going to get the majority of our work done, and then we start to put the football around what distances we want to cover and what we want to get out of it physically, and start to look at that. So it's been great to be able to put them two together, because that's what coaching and the week's really about.
And someone who's been getting a lot of praise for his performance in that game is Alex Woodyard. How good has he been since you've come to the club, and how impressive have you been by him?
Listen, Woody was excellent on Friday. And I've said to Woody, when Woody keeps it simple, breaks the play up and gives the ball and gets the team going forward, that's when Woody's at his best. When he tries to slow the game down and have too many touches, that's where, and we've got a lot more of the ball, that's when he doesn't affect the game as much. So, filed away, him and Greeny broke the game up, got us set on counter-attacks, they were brilliant. And that's when Woody's at his best, and if he carries on playing like that, he plays a big role in the team.
Yeah, looking at your team for Nantwich as well. Adam Crooks, how is he recovering from his injury?
He's back joining in some parts of training, but we haven't got him up to full speed yet. So, like I just said, when you've got a hamstring injury, one of the last things you have to achieve is using the GPS data on your max speed, is you have to be able to show that you've hit your max speed. And if that's with some players, it might be 9.1, some it might be 8.7, but we'll have that recorded, and that will be the final piece of the jigsaw to know that they're ready. And Adam's only up to about 80% at the moment, Depot's at slightly lower levels, so they have to go through these processes. But with a bit of luck, once we get through this rest of this week, maybe to the back end of next week, I'd like to think he might be able to come back into full training.
And another player who was in the open train session, in the actual first in train session, Callum Harrier. Is he likely to get minutes this weekend? Because I think you mentioned to David previously about it has to be the right game. It's not, you don't just want to throw him on the bench for no reason. So it's just
Yeah, no, I mean I didn't want to throw Callum onto the bench. If I put people on the bench who aren't really ready to even have 20 minutes, then I'm putting myself under pressure, because fans might look at the game and go, oh, why don't you throw him on? But they don't know the story behind why you can't. So you're better off just not putting them on the bench, and if they're not available to play any longer than 10 minutes, say. With Callum, we've sat down, we've built his minutes up. He only trained for 3 days last week before the game. So we've now built his minutes up this week, and he's hit some good levels. So now the conversation today and again tomorrow will be, how much can we have out of him? What's the maximum amount of minutes we can have? And that might dictate whether he starts, whether he's on the bench, and them kind of things.
I just want to ask you about Kevin Joshua as well, because we haven't really heard or seen anything about him in a long time. Is he out on loan? Because didn't his loan spell Macclesfield come to an end, and now
he came back from Macclesfield. We had a couple of other loans lined up for him, but Kevin chose not to take them up. So at the moment he's just training. And we spoke to his agent and him, because he needs to go out and play, and we've actively tried to get him clubs, but like I say, players have got to want to go and play, and want to go and whether it's Christmas or not Christmas, they've got to want to go and get that experience, and Kevin's certainly one of them that we're trying to get game time to.
I spoke to Kai Kennedy last week, so I lost in on players, but he mentioned how he had struggled sort of with the move from Scotland and adapting to the English football. Is a sort of programme in place and to sort of help these players, if they have any mental health issues or anything like that?
There's always, I mean, at this level it's hard because you don't have the staff. Some clubs at bigger levels have sort of player liaison officers that they can turn to. I think what's really important here is the role of the physio, the sports science, and the football coaches is, we almost have to be psychologists. We have to look for players. Physio needs to listen out to conversations in his physio room, what's going on. Everyone needs to understand what people are going through and whether they can adjust. Like Will Davis has just moved up, and you've got to understand that this player is living away from his family now, and the club, to be fair, do look after him. They've some players who have got accommodation, they've got nice accommodation, they're looked after. So I think Kai has settled in now. It probably was a little bit difficult at first, particularly with the amount of players that were arriving at the football club, but now he's got a little bit of structure from me, as in what I expect from him. He's starting to work hard on that and training, and players need that. Right, I know what the manager wants, I've got to try and deliver that. So I think he's in a lot better place.
And Nantwich Town, have you any past matches with Paul Carden or any past meetings?
No, not against Nantwich certainly, but like I say, we've done our homework, we've scrolled, got lots of footage, got reports off of people who have played against them at their level. Obviously Chester played against them in the last round, and we'll be as ready as we can. And every team's going to have their threats, every team's going to have their weaknesses. We're no different. We've just got to make sure the team that goes out on that pitch knows what they're doing, knows the game plan, and executes it and gets the result.
And the last one from me, Nantwich, they have two strikers, AJ Leach-Smith and Byron Harrison, who both played, I think, as high as the EFL. So they've got that sort of striking ability in that club. How important is it for you to get a clean sheet on Saturday, just perhaps for the confidence of the players?
Well, I think it's important. Just at any point, clean sheets will breed confidence just as much as scoring goals. Byron Harrison I actually had at Wimbledon when I arrived at AFC Wimbledon. Byron's a good player, and on his day can cause lots of problems. 6'3", can run, score goals. So he's done it at various levels. So we need to make sure we have a plan that he doesn't cause us problems, and we've got to make sure that we cause them problems. And clean sheets are good for everyone, for the goalie, for the defence. I always believe clean sheets are a result of lots of good habits.
Sorry, I just forgot to ask as well about Will Smith. Is he coming back to the club after his injury, or is there any sort of update on that? So
yeah, Will's he went back to Harrogate to get treatment there, where he jarred his knee. He's had an injection in his knee just to try and settle it all down, which he's due to be out. He's been doing a lot of work on without sort of training fully back at Harrogate. He's due to be out training fully tomorrow, so we're going to have a phone call with him tomorrow afternoon, because while we haven't just sat on our backsides while he's been injured, we've looked at all the options we've got if we needed to strengthen the centre back position, and we still think Will would be the best option to take us through to January and come back to the club. So If he's injured, that won't be an option. We obviously won't make that decision, but if he gets through Friday, then it might be something we do where we take him on for another month to get us through all the Christmas period.
Yeah, that's all from me, thank you.
All good? Do you want to ask any questions?
Yeah, Neil, the best game I've seen was Oxford City, because as you know we had disappointment with
the Hartlepool
with the Hartlepool game,
Yeah.
and I think you've got a great players, Callum Howe, Ryan Fallowfield, and all the lads seem to be gelling well together at the moment. The only criticism I've got, and I don't want to embarrass you or anybody here, in midfield we're a bit slow, and we need to, I think we need to, how can I put it, clamp down on defence a bit more, and not let the other teams get through the defensive wall, you know. So
Our problem, you're spot on, our
Yeah.
biggest problem in midfield comes when we don't get where we press right. So
Yeah.
when our centre forwards, because we haven't got high intensity, high running centre forward type players, when our centre forwards press without any thought, they press too high up the pitch, which
Yeah.
leaves the midfield exposed. The midfield then think they've got to go with them,
Yeah.
and that leaves gaps between them and the defenders, and then all of a sudden that's where you start seeing teams running at our back players.
Yeah.
So if you look back at our best games, Fylde, Oxford was a good
Yeah,
one,
Oxford.
Fylde and certainly Wigan, the gaps between, or distances between our units
Yeah.
were very, very good, and that's when we're at
I'm
our
a
best.
regular supporter at York, and all I see is the back of your head, because you're always on the touchline, and I'm always in the balcony.
Are you behind us, are you?
Yeah, I'm right behind
But then if
you.
I turn round so you can see my face, I won't be able to watch a game.
That's right, that's right. I could always wave to you.
There you go. I'll have a mirror. If I hold a mirror like that, I can see you and the game at the same time.
How do you see development within the players as a club to win more matches, to try and get promotion this season, do you think?
I think promotion this season might be a bit much to ask for. I
Yeah.
think at the moment the league's that tough, and where we are, I
Yeah.
think we just need to make sure we stay up. I think
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. I think the way you try and get results is to create a team spirit,
Yeah.
to create good habits.
Yeah.
Where I think bar the odd game we've been sounder without the ball defensively.
What is your strategy for that though, to get back up the table a bit?
Well, I think you need to start with stop conceding goals
Yeah,
on a regular basis, because teams, like you say, will walking through us. And I
Yeah.
think if you stop conceding goals, you give yourself a far greater chance of winning games and picking
That's
up
right.
points. So we've worked hard at the defensive structure, and
Yeah.
sometimes that takes away from how free-flowing you are, going the other way. But
Yeah.
that's the most important thing, to make sure all the teams down the bottom, I guarantee you've got a poor defensive record.
yeah, because positionally in passing, you're all there and you've got a great side. Ryan Fallowfield, Callum Howe,
Yeah.
they all gel together as a team. Do you maintain to keep that?
Yeah, we want to play, in fact, we want to play better football.
Yeah.
I'd like to play more open, better football, but at the moment with the players we've got and the qualities we've got, we need to make sure we're sounder without the ball. So that's got to be the game plan, to pick up points.
Yeah, and if I may ask about, we don't see the lower clubs on television a lot. Is the priority to put York on television a bit more?
Well, if we had a choice, we would put ourselves on there every week, but you know, the TNT Sports are the ones who decide on our league,
Yeah.
what games they cover. I think we've been on once already? Twice, we've
Yeah,
been on twice
twice.
already, so we've probably been on more than other teams. So I think we've been on a couple of times, and obviously it was great to have BBC here. But,
Yeah, the reason I ask you is some of the Premier League games, they're played with such intensity at the moment, and I think the lower divisions are more better entertaining football.
Yeah.
But to me, television doesn't.
It's always the way television, it's supply and demand, and
Yeah.
the people want to watch the top, so they start up there, and then you get it filters down, and you get, you know.
Is there a reason why the club don't get on telly a bit?
I think it's just there's only one broadcaster that does our league, which is TNT,
Is that all?
and they like to share it around.
Why not the BBC if
No, they're not. Then it's not financially viable for them to cover our game. I mean, the amount it costs them to even put a game on,
Yeah.
compared to the viewing figures, it just wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah.
So Premier League. That's where it all is.
Uh,
Good. That was the best interview, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I like that one.
absolutely.
It's put you lot to shame.